Picture this: a mother in a stone kitchen, tracing her finger over the parish banns, her daughter's name posted in public, and a secret that could ruin them all. In this village, marriage isn't a kiss under moonlight. It's ink, witnesses, and 3 Sundays of whispers nailed to a church door. The banns say the match is proper, if no one objects, and everyone knows someone who might. She reads the names again. Anne of Mill Lane, Thomas Weaver's son. It looks tidy on parchment, but paper is a mask. Under it, there's a line they may have crossed. Kin too close for comfort, a guild wall too high, a promise made to a different faith years ago and never quite broken. The mother isn't a villain, she's a strategist, a dowry chest half filled. Linen rolled and counted, a small purse hidden in flour for surprises. She's bartered wool for worth, saved coins from feast days, pledged next harvest's apples. All of it to turn a girl's future into something steady. But steadiness has a price, and the banns just put that price on display. The rumors move faster than carts. They're second cousins, did you hear? His father's guild won't have a farmer's girl. He once vowed before a priest, was that binding? Each sentence is a thread. Together they make a snare. Here's the cruel alchemy of prohibition. The moment a match is questioned, the pulse quickens. Every stolen glance tastes sweeter. Every risk feels like proof that this is love worth fighting for. Once the village is watching, the thrill becomes irresistible. The mother knows the rules. She also knows the loopholes. A friendly priest who reads the degrees of kinship generously. A notary who prefers gifts before grammar. A parish over the hill where names mean less and timing means more. If she pulls the banns now, the gossip cools. But so does the match. If she lets them hang, she gambles that intrigue will carry the lovers through the gate before the gate slams shut. Tonight in this kitchen, the parchment lies between a mother's caution and a daughter's ache. Tomorrow after Mass, those names will be read aloud, and the village will measure them like cloth. If it were your child, your Anne, your Thomas, what would you do? Tug the notice down, safe but silent, or leave it up and dare the world to say no? Would you pull the banns, or push ahead? Love had rules, and footnotes. In medieval Europe, marriage wasn't just hearts and hand-fasting. It was canon law, pages and pages of it. At its core, free consent. 2 people had to speak in the present tense, I take you, and mean it. Age mattered. By church reckoning, girls at 12, boys at 14 could consent, though families often waited longer. And before vows echoed under the rafters, the parish posted banns, 3 Sundays of public notice, to smoke out any secret impediments. So what turned a romance into a forbidden one? Start with kinship. The church banned marriages between close relatives, consanguinity, and even those tied by marriage or spiritual ties, affinity, and godparent bonds. How close was too close? That shifted by century and diocese, but cousins often needed a formal dispensation. A legal, yes, but... Next, faith. Mixed marriages, say a Christian woman and a Jewish physician, were fraught. In many places, they were barred outright. Elsewhere, they demanded conversion or special permission. Love that crossed confessional lines didn't just test 2 hearts. It tested the frontier between communities. Then there's status. The rules nobody wrote in scripture but everyone felt in their bones. Guild statutes guarded trades and reputations. A weaver's son couldn't just pluck a farmer, his daughter, without someone minding dowry, apprenticeship, and inheritance. Manor customs and city charters could block or penalize matches that bent the social ladder. Finally, vows of chastity. If one partner had taken religious vows or promised celibacy, marriage was off the table unless those vows were lawfully dispensed. A promise to God outweighed a promise to a sweetheart. Here's the twist that makes audiences lean in. Prohibition breeds desire. The tighter the rules, the brighter the spark. Scarcity turns attention into obsession. Secrecy turns each meeting into a memory you replay for a week. In that economy of feeling, every stolen glance is a hit, a pulse of proof that this is special because it's risky. Remember, none of this was one size fits all. Rules varied by region and century. A cousin marriage barred in one bishop's court might be permitted with paperwork in the next. A city that prized guild purity could look harsher on a cross-status match than a rural parish that simply needed two families to keep fields tilled. As we move through this story, we'll anchor examples to place and date, because context decides what counts as forbidden. So when a mother scans the banns and hears the village hum, she isn't just hearing gossip. She's hearing law, custom, and fear, and deciding which rule can bend without breaking her child's future. In medieval romance, the most romantic word was assets. Here's the rule no ballad sings. Love moves, but money marries. Two streams feed a union. First, the dowry, what the bride's family transfers to the groom's household. Cash, linens, livestock, tools, sometimes a slice of land. It oils the new home's wheels and signals loudly that this marriage is invested. Second, the dower, or jointure, the husband's promise to provide for his wife if he dies or the marriage dissolves. One flows into the house, the other flows back to the woman if fortune turns. Who makes these numbers dance? Often, mothers, quiet generals with keys on their belts. They curate the trousseau like a strategy board, bolts of linen counted and recounted, a best dress set aside, a good pan that will not burn porridge, a tiny hoard of silver coins, even a share of an orchard if negotiations run hot. This isn't just housekeeping, it's leverage. A generous trousseau can sweeten a reluctant guild father. A delayed delivery can keep an impulsive groom honest. Now to the table where pulses race. Negotiations are their own theater. The groom's kin praise the girl, then frown at costs of setting up a loom. The bride's aunt coughs at the mention of apprenticeship fees. The notary clears his throat. Someone slides a ring, family seal face down, across the wood. Each offer, each pause, is a chip. Add 1 goose. Pledge 2 florins more. Swap cash for a vineyard share come harvest. You tell yourself just 1 more concession and we win the match. But what if your chest won't stretch? Enter the medieval credit line, dowry loans. You borrow from kin, from the guild, even from a confraternity that lends for honorable causes. The terms look simple. Small interest, reputation as collateral, repayment due by Michaelmas. In truth, you're placing your family standing on the table. Pay late and a cousin whispers default and the guildmaster's smile goes thin. Worst case, a lien on the very land you offered as pride. Still, the rush is real. Numbers rise, barriers fall, and you feel it. The almost there shimmer of a perfect match, better street, stronger craft, a pew closer to the aisle. This is high-stakes gambling dressed in Sunday clothes. The pot is your daughter's future. The house always takes its cut. Remember, the dowry equips the new life. The dower guards the woman who must live it. A wise mother fights for both, front-end fuel and back-end shelter. So a wedding day doesn't become a wager she can later cover, where love couldn't walk through the front door, an aunt knocked at the side. In the medieval marriage game, negotiations rarely happened between the lovers themselves. They were waged by mothers with keys at their waist, dowager aunts with iron spines, guild elders guarding status, parish priests minding souls, and notaries who translated hope into ink. These were the go-betweens, the people who turned blushes into contracts and gossip into leverage. First tactic, gift testing. A mother happens to send a loaf, fine flour, a hint of honey. If it's returned with better spice, the other house is signaling means and manners. A string of eggs comes back, modest purse, honest kitchen, a silver spoon tucked under the cloth. Now we're talking jointure. Second, character references. The aunt doesn't ask, is he kind? She asks the tanner, does he measure leather true? She asks the sacristan, does he keep feast day sober? The answers sketch a man better than any poem. Third, coded visits. Never a courting call, always a borrowed skillet, a lost thimble, a message for your mother. Each errand is a corridor where 2 futures pass within arm's length without scandal touching either one. And then, the calendar play, timing the banns. Post on a feast week when half the parish is traveling, and rumor sleeps. Or wait until the busy harvest when tongues are tired. A friendly priest can read the degrees of kinship with an extra breath between numbers. A cautious one will thunder each line like a warning. Either way, the go-between is listening in the porch, ready to pull, stall, or push. Make no mistake, these people are damage control with faces. They seed a gentler version of the story. She brings good linen, he's near his mastery, they're kin but far, and they suffocate a dangerous one. If a joke starts sharp, the aunt laughs first and flattens it. If a neighbor raises an eyebrow, the mother raises a favor she can call in. And here is the addiction lever that keeps everyone coming back to the dance. The covert choreography. Notes tucked under bread. Tokens swapped by accident. A chance meeting when the guild bell rings. Every small success. A nod returned. A seal accepted, a date agreed. Lands like a hit. The rush is real. Just one more discreet visit. One more witness secured. One more promise in wax, and the match will hold. The lovers may be the song, but the go-betweens keep time. Pacing whispers, paper, and prayer until maybe becomes I do. If the church drew a line, families learned to bend it. Forbidden didn't always mean finished. In the medieval marriage maze, parents turned rules into roots. The first root? Dispensation. When kinship or affinity tripped the wire, second cousins, godparent ties, a widow marrying within an in-law line, families petitioned for a formal exception. It wasn't magic, it was math and manners. You presented degrees of kinship, good cause, and, quietly, patronage, a gift to a shrine, a pledge to repair the chancel roof, a favor owed by a lord who knew your grandfather. Each nod from a church official was a dopamine spike, a little bell rung in the brain. One step closer. Parents learned to pace those bells. They didn't just plead, they packaged, our daughter brings good linen, our son-in-law will endow candles for Michaelmas. The price of grace was always grace plus something. Second route, relabeling status. Law liked tidy boxes. Life rarely fit. So words did some lifting. An apprentice nearing his freedom became an associate, signaling income without promising mastery. A man bound to the land, a villain, could, with a fine paid to the manor, be recorded as free for the purposes of contracting marriage and property. It wasn't lying. It was laundering truth through fees and timing. Again the hit, new status, new odds. Parents felt the rush and pushed for just one more upgrade, an endorsement from a guild elder, a line inserted by a friendly notary. Paper didn't just record reality, it created it. Third route, jurisdiction shopping. If one parish frowned, another might merely squint. Families relocated ceremonies to a cousin's village or a chapel with a lenient canonist. They posted bans where ears were friendlier, then held the vows where eyes were fewer. Same church, one faith, different temperaments. Finally, the calendar as accomplice, timing. Post bans during feast days when half the town is traveling, or during harvest when tongues are tired and hands are full. Announce on a market morning, noise up, notice down. Parents learned to ride the year like a tide, slip out past the rocks when waves are loudest. None of this felt like crime. It felt like care, a mother's calculus where love met law and law could flex. Every bureaucratic win, dispensation stamped, status tweaked, parish chosen, date secured, pulsed like another card turned over in a high-stakes game. And with each pulse, families stepped deeper in. One more petition, one more pledge, one more seal until the only way out was through. Call it cunning or call it craft, but this is how forbidden became fitted to real lives. Two words said in the present tense could bind two lives forever. In much of medieval Europe, marriage lived in a sentence. Speak consent per verba de praesenti. I take you as my wife. I take you as my husband. And a union could be formed, even without feasts, rings, or a priest to stage it. Sometimes there was a hand fasting, palms bound with a ribbon at the church porch, that public threshold between street and sanctuary. Sometimes there were only two trembling voices in the night. Why risk a secret? Because vetoes had teeth. Kinship too close, a guild father guarding status, a stepfather guarding a dowry or a clash of faiths, each could slam the door on a match. Lovers eloped to outrun the ledger. No 3 weeks of bans, no time for objections to ripen, no uncles not suitable to harden into law. Speed was shelter. And yes, The rush was part of it. A secret vow is the ultimate hit of forbidden intimacy. The world says wait, and you say now. Scarcity sharpens feeling. Secrecy magnifies it. The whisper becomes a promise, the touch becomes a covenant, and every step away from home feels like a step deeper into each other. But the price waits in daylight. A clandestine union could be challenged by family, by rivals, by the parish court. If a hidden impediment existed, too close kin, an earlier promise, a religious vow, the marriage might be invalidated. The bride could lose her dowry. The couple might be sentenced to penance, barefoot processions, alms, public prayers. And then the village would add its own verdict, the charivari, pots and pans, masks and mockery, dragging private failings into street theater. So lovers came armed with insurance. Witnesses, a cousin, a neighbor, who could swear they'd heard the present tense words. Tokens, a ring, a kerchief, a shared psalm. Proof that this was now, not some future promise. Some even sought a priest's blessing after the fact, turning a porch vow into a porch plus prayer, sturdier in the eyes of a court. And when strategy ran out, biology took its turn. Pregnancy could be leverage. Recognize the marriage and recognize the child. It could soften an uncle, hurry a notary, persuade a priest that regularizing the union served peace. But it could also double the danger if the match collapsed. More shame to weaponize, more futures at stake. Remember, rules shifted by region and century. A vow that stood firm in one diocese might wobble in the next. But everywhere, the math was the same. Secrecy buys time and charges interest. Each hidden step lowers the voices and raises the stakes. When men wrote the statutes, women mastered the strategies. In the medieval marriage game, some battles were fought with swords. The important ones were fought with linen, timing, and a well-placed whisper. Mothers learned the board, then moved the pieces. First, control the trousseau. A full chest says, "We come prepared." But a mother keeps a few prizes off the table, the finer sheets, the silver, the half-acre by the brook, until the groom's side performs. Apprenticeship completed, small jointure written, behavior steady for 3 market weeks. She can advance a piece, the wool blanket now, the coins after harvest, or freeze the board with a smile. Soon. Second, delay payments. Not to cheat, to steer. A dowry paid in tranches keeps conversations civil and tempers cool. If the groom grows reckless, a Mother S calendar becomes a leash. You will have the second portion when the lease is signed. Paper isn't just proof, it's pressure. Third, stage an illness. A daughter too unwell for a visit. A mother confined on the very day a rumor might explode. A pause button disguised as prudence. The village respects frailty. While it does, the story softens. Tomorrow, new facts can arrive wearing calmer clothes. Fourth, deploy clergy. The sympathetic priest who reads the banns without thunder, the canonist who measures kinship with his kindest chord, the confessor who counsels patience rather than scandal. A mother knows which pew to sit in and which ear to bend after Mass. Then comes the art of reputation management. Visits don't happen. They're choreographed. Daughters walk with chaperones, aunt in front, cousin behind, so the right eyes see the right virtue at the right time. A mother places witnesses like candles, at the market stall, by the well, near the guild hall, each ready with the same sentence. He's nearing mastery. She brings good linen. Stories don't travel on their own. Someone carries them. A mother trims the tail that could cut too deep and feeds the one that won't. If a neighbor starts a sharp joke, the aunt laughs first and blunts it. If envy stiffens a back, generosity loosens it. A loaf for a widow, a candle for the altar. Reputation is a garden. Weed early, water often. And then the brutal calculus. Choose the lesser scandal. Kinship a degree too near or a groom a year too green. A quiet loan or a loud charivari later. Mothers pick the bruise that fades, not the fracture that lasts. It isn't cowardice. It's custodianship of dowry, future, and peace. Here is why the soft power game thrills. Each small victory lands like a hit. A nod from the priest. A rumor redirected. A date advanced by one clean sentence. Outplaying the rulebook becomes its own momentum. Just one more visit, one more clause, one more witness, until perhaps turns into proof. If love is a contract, bring your witnesses. When a marriage was disputed, secret vows, whispered impediments, a vanished promise, the lovers didn't go to the king, they went to church court. Under the gaze of clerics, love was measured in words, tokens, and testimony. First, the court tested consent. Did the couple speak the words per verba de presenti, I take you when in the present tense? Or was it a future promise, I will take you, which binds the heart but not the law? The judge asked each in turn, then asked again, because truth is steadier on the second telling. Next came evidence, a ring, a ribbon from a hand-fasting, a kerchief exchanged at the church porch. Letters mattered, ink can remember what mouths forget. The notary read aloud, to my true wife, and the room leaned forward. Then the voices of the low and the near, servants who saw the couple meet at dawn, a chaperone who heard vows through a cracked door, a neighbor who swore he saw clasped hands and a priest's soft blessing. Courts knew the grand rarely tell all. It's the people who sweep thresholds who see what thresholds hold. The stakes? Everything. A valid marriage could force a reluctant family to deliver the dowry. An invalid one could claw it back to the bride's house, sometimes minus expenses. If the union stood, the husband owed the dower pine jointure he'd promised. If it fell, he might owe support or penance instead. Validation meant the court stamped the union good. The banns might be posted after the fact. The couple might do public penance for skipping steps, barefoot procession, candles offered, and then return to married life, dowry secure. Annulment declared there was never a marriage, an undisclosed impediment, a previous contract, kin too near, and the ledger ran backward, property returned, reputations patched if they could be. Not every verdict ended at the page. Some communities staged public shaming, a charivari with pots and masks, mocking mismatched couples, secret vows, or husbands who wouldn't pay. Others preferred reconciliation feasts, tables set, bread broken, godparents named, turning scandal into supper so children could be born into peace, not noise. And this is why families rode these trials to the bitter end. Courtroom drama, stakes plus spectacle. Every ruling, admit the letter, strike the witness, read the banns aloud, hits like a drumbeat. With each procedural win, a mother feels the future tilt toward her child. Just one more witness, one more clause, one more seal, and the match will hold. In the court of love, hearts speak, but records decide. Bring your words, bring your tokens. Most of all, bring someone who saw. Happily ever after meets the manorial ledger. The vows are spoken, the court has ruled, or the village has simply fallen quiet. Now comes the part no ballad sings. Living with a forbidden marriage. First stop, inheritance. A brother shows up with a steward and a smile that doesn't reach his eyes. About the fields by the brook. If your union skirted kinship or jumped a class fence, expect disputes who gets dowry goods, which child inherits which strip, whether a clause buried in a will can be stretched to snap your claim. Then, guild access. The master who toasted your wedding may balk at enrolling your sons as apprentices. Rules about clean blood or proper unions can appear precisely when your child needs a sponsor. No shouting, just a door that doesn't quite open. Housing comes next. Landlords prefer calm tenants. Manors prefer tidy pedigrees. A couple with a reputation might find the better cottage, already promised. Parish seating tells its own story. Pews are politics. A place near the aisle says, we belong. A bench by the door says we're still on trial. So how do you rebuild legitimacy? You give. Charity gifts. A sack of grain to a widow. A blanket at Christmastide. Travel faster than rumors. Pious endowments. Candles for the altar. A small lamp for the Virgin. A coin toward repairing the porch. Wrap your name in light. People forgive what benefits their prayers. Then you friend upward and sideways. Strategic friendships with a guild elder's wife, the Reeves sister, the schoolmaster. These are bridges. Invite the right godparents. Borrow the right book. Send your child to carry the right basket to the right door. Patronage is a ladder you climb one favor at a time. You also perform steadiness. Pay rents early. Keep feast days sober. Be seen working when others watch. Let your children be the argument. Tidy, taught at catechism on time. A year of order weighs more than a week of gossip. Does it work? Often, yes. Slowly. The couple who once sparked a charivari now hosts a baptism feast. Music replaces mockery. A guildmaster, softened by a free repair or a shared harvest, signs the apprenticeship line. The back pew creeps forward. And when does it implode? When pride outruns prudence. A loud boast, a missed payment, a quarrel in the market, and the old story wakes. An uncle reopens the case for a field. A priest frowns. A mask from the charivari finds its way back to a window. Forbidden marriages live with long memories. The chase is over, but the consequences keep pulsing. Each small victory, a seat moved, a signature granted, lands like a hit. You promise yourself one more gift, one more friend, one more year of quiet, and we'll be unremarkable again. We don't live under bans, but we still crave the thrill. The same forces that electrified medieval matches still wire our hearts today. Start with scarcity. When something feels rare, approval, availability, time, desire spikes. The village once rationed opportunity with guild rules and degrees of kinship. Now it's distance, schedules, swipe limits, career ladders. The fewer chances we think we have, the more each one glows. Then secrecy, a hidden message, a private playlist, an inside joke. These are modern handfastings. The brain tags secrecy as intimacy. We know they don't. In the porch's shadow or a DM's dark mode, the feeling is the same. Every quiet moment feels like proof that this matters. Add social proof. In the parish, pews were persuasion. Today it's friends' approval. The soft nods of family, the algorithms, people like you like this. We borrow confidence from the crowd. No wonder the forbidden lights up the room. Whenever the crowd hesitates, every yes feels heroic. Finally, playing the system, the narrative sugar. Medieval mothers learned the calendar, the courts, and the loopholes. We learn apps, boundaries, and timing. The plot itself is addictive. Problem, plan, tiny win, next move. Each text returned, each weekend aligned, each honest conversation lands like a hit. Not chaos, craft. What do those mothers teach modern daters? Boundaries first. They kept the trousseau until promises were real. You keep time, attention, and intimacy until values are clear. Boundary wall. It's a gate with a wise keeper. Leverage second. They negotiated dower for rainy days. You negotiate for emotional safety, mutual effort, clarity about exclusivity, plans that include your future self. Leverage isn't coercion. It's self-respect with receipts. Reputation third. They choreographed visits, you curate contexts. Meet people who know your name, not just your username. Choose spaces that align with who you're becoming, not only with who you've been. And remember their courage in choosing the lesser scandal. Sometimes the braver story isn't ST chasing sparks. It's refusing a fire that will burn your roof. Saying, not yet, or not this, can be the most romantic act you do for your future. The truth under every chapter is simple. Love isn't a loophole, it's a practice. The thrill gets you to the door. The daily choices let you stay. If you learned anything from our mothers at war, let it be this. Play wisely, love kindly, and leave room for grace when someone stumbles, including you. Your turn. Which tactic felt most shocking or most relatable? And tell me where you're watching from. I love seeing this community map fill in. If this series opened a door for you, like and subscribe. Next week we start a new story. Different century, same human heart.